World-famous bedtime stories from Mom. Today's story is Treasure Island. Every morning Jim gazed out the window at the sea dreaming. What does it look like beyond that distant sea? Living in a small seaside village, Jim imagined grand adventures as he watched the big ships slice through the waves and disappear. Someday I want to board one of those ships and travel far away, Jim resolved in his heart. The sea always seemed to tell new stories. One day a strange guest arrived at Jim's home. "May I stay here for just one night?" The stranger with a thick beard looked very tired. However, the next morning something had happened and the guest was found lying on the floor. "Oh my! What should I do?" Jim rushed to find Mr. Trelawney, a brave adventurer of the village. Mr. Trelawney hurried back to Jim's house with him. "What's the matter, Jim?" While examining the guest, Mr. Trelawney found a crumpled piece of paper in the guest's pocket. "Oh, what is this?" As Mr. Trelawney unfolded the paper, it revealed a treasure map. This is quite a treasure map." Mr. Trelawney's eyes sparkled. Jim and Mr. Trelawney smiled at each other. At that moment, Jim's adventure had already begun. Jim and Mr. Trelawney carefully closed the door and spread the map on the table. The map showed a mysterious island and the locations of hidden treasures. "Wow, there really is a treasure island!" Jim exclaimed with sparkling eyes. Mr. Trelawney studied the symbols and writing on the map. "This map will lead us to the treasure, Jim. But it must be our secret. Tell no one." Jim nodded and hid the map inside his clothes. From that moment, Jim's heart was filled with adventure. The next day, Mr. Trelawney started preparations for the adventure to find the treasure. He gathered the most trustworthy captain and crew in the village and prepared a big, sturdy ship. Among the crew was a one-eyed man named Silver. He always had a smile on his face, saying, "Are we going to Treasure Island? How exciting!" With all preparations complete, Mr. Trelawney declared loudly, "Now off to Treasure Island." And their ship set sail powerfully into the sea. One night, several days into the sea voyage, Jim overheard a secret conversation among the crew. One-eyed Silver and some crew members were quietly plotting, "Once we find the treasure, we'll get rid of everyone and share it among ourselves." Jim's eyes widened. "Oh no, they're pirates." Jim was shocked as he listened to their plot. The pirates were secretly planning for the moment they would find the treasure. Jim became aware of the pirates' scheme and started to ponder how to handle this news. One night, several days into the sea voyage, Jim overheard a secret conversation among the crew. One-eyed Silver and some crew members were quietly plotting, "Once we find the treasure, we'll get rid of everyone and share it among ourselves." Jim's eyes widened. "Oh no, they're pirates." Jim was shocked as he listened to their plot. The pirates were secretly planning for the moment they would find the treasure. Jim became aware of the pirates' scheme and started to ponder how to handle this news. Treasure Island. A crew member shouted loudly. At those words, everyone rushed onto the deck. Jim also seized the opportunity to sneak out of the apple barrel and ran to the captain's cabin. "Captain, Mr. Trelawney. I heard the pirates' plan. We're all in danger." Jim's voice trembled but was determined. The captain and Mr. Trelawney listened seriously to Jim's story. "I see. We need to be prepared." They became aware of the pirates' plan through Jim's brave action and started to replan their strategy for Treasure Island. As Treasure Island approached, One-Eyed Silver and a few crew members took a small boat to the island. "Now it's time to find the treasure," Silver said slyly, grinning. Jim, curious about what Silver and his gang would do, carefully followed them. Jim's heart was filled with fear and curiosity, but his determination to uncover the secrets of Treasure Island was greater. As the pirates landed on the island, Jim watched them silently. The sand, wind, and rough waves of Treasure Island seemed to herald the beginning of an adventure. Setting foot on the sandy beach of Treasure Island, Jim's heart raced. Having secretly followed the pirates to the island, Jim found himself at the center of an adventure. He hid behind One-Eyed Silver's gang, silently observing their next move. However, a pirate discovered Jim and shouted loudly at Jim. "What are you doing here?" Jim froze momentarily but quickly regained his composure, trying to escape from among the pirates. "No, I was just..." Before Jim could finish, Silver looked at him with suspicion. "Catch him! That boy!" At Silver's command, the pirates charged towards Jim. Jim ran towards the forest as fast as he could, slipping through trees and bushes, thinking, "If they catch me, it's all over." Jim went deep into the forest, feeling the pirates' shouts fading away. Though out of breath and legs aching, Jim did not give up and continued to run. As Jim ran through the forest, suddenly a ragged man jumped out in front of him. "Please save me!" Jim screamed in surprise, but the man waved his hand, saying, "Don't be afraid, kid. I won't harm you. My name is Ben. My ship encountered a storm near this island and I was cast ashore here." Ben kindly explained to Jim. Jim felt a bit relieved after listening to Ben. "You're here for the treasure, aren't you? If you take me back to the mainland, I'll show you where the treasure is." Jim was intrigued by Ben's offer. Could this ragged man be trusted? Jim's adventure deepened. Deep in the forest of Treasure Island, Jim and Ben were startled by the sudden sound of cannon fire. Boom! 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 The cannon fire shook the island. They looked at each other, wondering what's happening. Suddenly the captain and Mr. Trelawney appeared, panting through the bushes. "Captain, Mr. Trelawney." Jim teared up with joy and relief. The captain and Mr. Trelawney had barely escaped from the pirates and found Jim and Ben. "Jim, did you think we wouldn't come? The pirates took over the ship." "We barely escaped," Mr. Trelawney said, catching his breath. Ben cautiously suggested, "Then, let's all go to where I live. It'll be safer there." The four of them carefully moved to Ben's home, avoiding Silver's gang. Ben's home was a small cabin hidden deep in the forest, surrounded by old trees and vines, like a hidden sanctuary outside the world. Ben explained that he had built this place after being swept onto the island by the storm. "We can catch our breath here," Ben reassured them. But they didn't know that Silver's gang was already on their trail. While Jim, Ben, the captain, and Mr. Trelawney were catching their breath, suddenly the cabin door burst open and Silver's gang appeared. "Gotcha!" Silver shouted, and they tied everyone up and locked them inside the cabin. Jim looked on in disbelief. Silver and his men threatened the captain and Mr. Trelawney with barbaric smiles. "Bring us the treasure map and we'll spare your lives," Silver demanded harshly. Jim and Ben exchanged glances, thinking of a way to escape. But at that moment they were all in the grasp of Silver's gang. The pirates led Jim and Ben through the forest. 20 steps east from the lone pine tree in the forest, 15 steps north, then turn clockwise and walk 10 steps west, Silver's voice echoed. Following his command, the pirates walked exactly as the map directed. "Here it is. Start digging," Silver shouted, and the pirates began to dig with shovels. Jim and Ben watched tensely. As the pirates dug, time passed, but no matter how much they dug, no treasure appeared. Expectation faded from the pirates' faces, and anger rose in Silver's. "We've been fooled. This map is fake." Silver could not contain his rage and shouted. His eyes burned with fury. Was this all a trap? Despicable. Anger erupted among the pirates. Jim and Ben exchanged looks, realizing their dire situation. Silver approached them menacingly. "I'll end you both here." Silver's blade gleamed under the cold moonlight. A tense silence enveloped the forest. Jim thought, "Is this the end for us?" Ben looked at Jim with a pained expression. But just then something unexpected happened. Bang! Bang bang! Gunshots echoed from somewhere in the forest. The pirates were startled and scattered in panic. Even one-eyed Silver hurriedly disappeared into the forest for his own safety. Jim and Ben looked around in surprise, realizing their rescuers were the captain and Mr. Trelawney. "Jim, I'm glad you're safe." The captain sighed with relief. Mr. Trelawney quickly untied Jim and Ben. Then Ben said quietly, "The real treasure isn't here. But I know where it is." Led by Ben, they went to another part of the island. They found the real treasure that Ben had hidden. It felt like all their hardships were rewarded. Joy filled their faces. After finding the real treasure, Jim and his friends prepared to return home. "Farewell, Treasure Island." Jim waved at the receding island from the ship's deck. The captain, Mr. Trelawney, and Ben stood by watching. Their faces were filled with the satisfaction of returning from an adventure and the anticipation of a new beginning. "We won't forget the adventure we shared," Jim said. The captain patted Jim's shoulder. "You made us all proud, Jim." As the sun set beyond the horizon, they returned home with a new story. Though they bid farewell to Treasure Island, unforgettable memories and eternal friendships remained in their hearts.